everyone, Discourse Miniatures here with a new unboxing for you today. We've got the Organized Crime release out today. You can see here is the Pain and Money box set that has been released for Organized Crime. We have Black Mask as well. We also have Reaper. We have a few extra bits and bobs here, the extra Organized Crime gangsters. And we also have Joker and Eraser and things like that. So I figured we would go through the unboxing. It is obviously a little bit late, but there we are. A lot of really interesting models today. And I've obviously given my thoughts already in the first impressions, but I figured I'd look through and see what you actually get physically in these products. So first of all, we're going to look at Black Mask here. This is him, very intimidating there with his big chair and with his sort of like tool set. We look at the back, we can see another picture of him there, very cool background. And we also can see that he has a 60mm base as well as a 40mm base option. So very similar. This is obviously sort of the style that Knight models are doing now with the releases. They're doing like sort of a crew, a gang deck box, and then a boss who's on a big base. So here we are. We have the set for Black Mask. So let's pull him out first. We'll have a look at him. So here is Black Mask himself. He's all one piece, so there's nothing to sort of put together there. I really like his pose. It's nice and casual for him. He doesn't have a gun anywhere on the model, but he does come with a gun, so I don't know where that is. He's got like a rusty tool of some kind. It looks like maybe like a razor blade or so. It looks like. Now there's quite a lot of flash around him, so there's going to need to be a little bit of cleanup over the head there. You can see down the side of the pants. But apart from that, he's looking pretty good. I really like the pose. I really like the model. I think he's going to be a real dream because he's got lots of little crinkles and things like that that will mean that the contrast paints will take really well to it. So you can see here, even on the back with the waistcoat there, contrast paints will take really, really well to that. So I'm looking forward to putting him together. And then, as I said, this is the 60mm base here. You can see it will go on top of that. Pretty flush, although as always there's a little bit of a gap there that you might need to clean up with green stuff. Here is the 40mm base, and you can see there. So he's meant to sort of fit on top of it. With the 40mm base, I think you put this chair together, or rather with the 60mm you definitely put the chair. So you can see here, this is the chair, obviously looking a little bit bedraggled, like something out of Saw. We have that, and then this sort of goes underneath it. And then here we have the like the handlebars of a chair. Wow, the bars of the chair, and then it just slots into this bit here, I believe. And then we have the table. So this table obviously filled with sort of torture tools, because that is Black Mask's thing. He's all about torturing, and he has the rules to fit that. So he has quite a lot of rules. He has an interrogation and steal, so he'll be able to look at your opponent's cards quite easily if he's able to get, melee attacks off. So that's pretty good. I really love the steal attribute. I really love that as a trait because it really sets you up really nicely for future turns. You get to see your opponent's cards, you make them discard a card. It's just excellent. So I'm really liking that. I think that Black Mask definitely has a sort of vibe about him that none of the other organized crime leaders bring. So if you didn't know already, Black Mask is organized crime. He's not his own crew, so he's just simply a leader of organized crime. But as I said before, whoops, just knocked that to one side. He does have this new Pain and Money crew. So this is an organized crime box set. It comes for 350 reputation. But if we look at the back here, we can see they're very much themed on Black Mask, right? We have, everyone's wearing sort of like masks and things like that. So they're a little bit more flavorful than the standard organized crime guys. So we'll open that in a moment. But just about Black Mask, so one of the things about him is his head there is, it's rigid, it's on. It looks very cool though, I really quite like it. That'll be really nice to paint, though I do sort of wish that Ewan McGregor had been an option. I really would have loved to have seen Ewan McGregor. I'm also missing a blazer. Would have loved to have seen a blazer maybe, just somewhere you can throw on the model. So this comes for around, I think it's £36. It's the same basic price as the Joker, the big base Joker, as well as the big base Commissioner Gordon and the big base Two-Face and things like that. Now I will say with this model, I do feel like you probably get a little bit less plastic or less resin, I suppose, than you get in other ones. I mean, he's got a chair, he's got like a table, but apart from that, that's always bringing. He's also 80 reputation, so he's not as expensive maybe as, Two-Face or as the, I think he's around the same price as Commissioner Gordon, but what I'm trying to say, I suppose, is that you're paying a lot of money for a model that maybe doesn't take up as much space. Now, he is a very good leader. He has a really good gun. He also has the mobster trait, which will allow him to force other allies of his to attack on his behalf during his activation using a special. So that's really, really good as well. So he's a really good model. He's 80 reputation. He's probably the premier organized crime model now, I would say. Probably the best boss that they have access to, even better than Falcone. But all the same, quite an expensive model, especially if you're only doing them on the 40mm base. So that's kind of sad, especially now that they don't come with unit cards, you know. So it gets a little bit harder to justify, I think, the cost of the models, but it's a very, very beautiful sculpt, as usual. Very nice sculpt. Night models have once again kicked it out of the park just completely. I also really dig the vibe of the torture chair and things like that. I'd just like to see a little bit more plastic added to these big bases. This is pretty standard for night models though, so this seems to be the new production style. That was Black Mask. We now have the Pain and Money box set as well. This is going to come with a lot of models, so let's open it up and see what we get inside. Now, one other thing about these models overall is that they definitely have a lot of flavor. Whoops, rip there. They have a lot of flavor when compared to previous editions. So in second edition, organized crime, I think a lot of people found them very boring. I didn't. I really love guys in suits, generally. But I really do love guys in suits. I think they look really, really cool, especially going up against Batman. We have a lot of bases here. But these guys are going to have a little bit more flavor, you'll see, than the sort of, you know, maybe models like the Tailor or the Iceman that came in the Ventriloquist box. These guys are going to come with a little bit more dynamism about them, I suppose, and a little bit more character. So here we go. We've got a guy here. I'm not 100% sure what kind of mask. It looks a little bit like a tiki mask there. You can see he's sort of, his suit is going all one way. He's very, very animated. His tie sort of flinging to the side. And I think this guy is the one that is armed with the hammer, I believe. I sort of want to say. So here we go. We've got a hammer there. I think he's armed with a hammer, that or he's armed with a sort of blade. Now, on this same sprue, we have two knives, and those arms will belong to Zsasz. We've got a little bit of a wall that will also go with Zsasz there. It will go on his base. So let's have a quick look to see whether or not we can find him. Here we are. This is Zsasz here, and you can see he's basically all one piece except for the arms that we've looked at previously. This is an exceptionally clean model, actually, not much to clean up. And you can see how well defined his muscles are there. Once again, I think he'll actually take really well to contrast paint. So he's got like basically a tracksuit bottoms on, that's it. He's a very, very low key model, which I suppose really, really fits him, right? Zsasz, his thing has always been that he's just a serial killer with a bit of personality. So he ritually scars himself, and you can see here the actual resin has been raised a little so that you can actually get those scars defined. I don't know if you can make that out very well, but basically the scars are raised, so they should show up if you do a very, very light, thin coat of paint over his body. You'll be able to see the scars, so that looks very cool. I think a little bit of I'm probably going to do a glyph gray, glyph charger gray over that as well. I think that'll look really, really good. And here we go, we've got two more bodies. So the night models made this a little bit difficult for me because they haven't sort of put arms with the bodies. We have another guy here. He's wearing a lovely little waistcoat there with his suit. So these suits, I would say, are probably a little bit nicer than the Italian suits from the second edition organized crime models. They have a little bit more going on, and we're gonna pop him there. Let me just have a look at his mask again, actually. Let me just see there. So there's a lot going on with this mask. I don't know what this is. Is this meant to be sort of like a tiki mask? Are we meant to sort of color this in? I don't know. I imagine this guy's a bit of a blonde character. Let's pop him to one side there. Let's see. We have another body here. So another waistcoat and tie combination. So not a lot of jackets going on here compared to the previous edition models, which were basically nothing but jackets and turtlenecks and ties. And then let's see. So I think this is actually a bit for one of the lieutenants. So this box does come with two specifically, they are specifically Black Mask lieutenants. So here we have Kozov. She is armed with a rocket launcher. You can see her face there. She's got a bit of an angry scowl on her. And her hair, she's wearing a big long jacket there. She is armed with a rocket launcher and a submachine gun. She also has a, I'm trying to find her sprue. I can't find it here at all. Let's have a look at Fright instead, I suspect. So Kozov is armed with a rocket launcher and a submachine gun. She also comes with a bionic eye, which gives her +1. And then she can also, she has Master Marksman, I believe, which gives her another +1 to her hits. So she's really good with the submachine gun. It's got quite a lot of rate of fire. It does double blood, if I remember correctly. But the rocket launcher is really nice as well, because the bionic eye lets her see anywhere during the night. And that means that she can actually fire the full 16mm medium range that the rocket launcher has. Now, this body belongs to a lady called Fright, I believe. This is Fright's body. Fright is basically like a discount scarecrow. So she's 70 reputation. Here are her legs too. You can see she's wearing a classic sort of World of Warcraft style, no pants basically, and massive boots. Fright is basically like a discount scarecrow. So she brings fear, but she doesn't have fear master. So she can only inspire fear on one person, but she has scientific and discourage. So very, very similar to the Arkham Knight scarecrow in the sense that what you want to do is you want to discourage someone to reduce their willpower, and then you want to hit them with the fear check, and hopefully they roll really badly and kill themselves out of terror. So let's have a look here. This is the base for Zaz. So he's basically standing around amongst a bunch of police riot gear, which is very, very cool. Pretty appropriate for him. And this is for Kozov. So I guess that's the rocket launcher that she's meant to have. And then she just wields the machine gun, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. I think, though, I found the head of Fright. Yeah, there we go. That's the head of Fright there. You can see that there. And then she's got a handgun in one hand. You can see that her other arm is basically behind her back there. She's got a little armband there as well, add a little splash of color. Again, I think that the contrast paints will take really well to these. Even these guys, so even these normal guys. Here we have another dude. He's just wearing a suit. Once again, so very much, you know, you get a real sort of waistcoat and tie vibe from these guys. These guys are mooks, right? They're pretty cheap, relatively overall. I mean, they're all around the low 20s, most of them. So they're not bringing too much. But like I said before, what I really like is that they all have a little bit of flavor. So this one, he's armed with a pistol. This guy is armed with a pistol, and he has a special action which allows him to discharge his gun for extra blood damage whenever he fires it. So that's really nice. It gives him a little bit of something extra to do. I believe this is the pistol here. Yeah, so this hand will go there, and he's all one part aside from that. So you can see yourself, there's a little bit of flash, a little bit of cleanup that's gonna need to be done on this guy. So the pistol's nice, although I will say that I think Thug 4, Thug 3 with the gunman trait, I think he's probably better. And he's got unknown affiliation, so he's probably better to bring, but still all the same, if you want to go fully thematic, he's not too bad, and I think it's very, very close. Here's a guy then that's finally wearing a jacket. Nice, he's got his three-piece going, and he's got a really interesting mask. So there's something a little bit horror movie about these guys compared to the previous organized crime guys, right? They're all sort of masked up, and definitely bring a lot more flavor, a lot more theme to the crews. Aha, so here we go. We've got the bottom half of Kozov here. So you can see that she's got like one leg up, and she's meant to basically be resting on this like ammo crate. So she's got like 1 foot up, she's resting on that. And then here we go, we've got the RPG that she's got slung over one shoulder. And this rocket launcher is pretty good. I think it's triple blood, so that's really, really nice. That's not bad at all. Again, a little bit of cleanup, it's gonna need to be done. That's okay, sharp hobby knife and some clippers ought to do most of that. And here we go, we have another guy here. So he's wearing a jacket as well. Once again, I really love the dynamism of like the ties and things like that. None of them are wearing ties that are just straight down. And if they are, they tend to be wearing sort of waistcoats. But otherwise, they are all sort of in movement, in action, doing something. Here you go, you've got the tactical wall with one leg up on the wall. And this is the guy, I believe, who's armed with a sniper rifle. So we're gonna look at the weapon sprues here. This is a sniper rifle. He is modeled for this piece here, for this model that we were just looking at. this sniper rifle is going to go there. Now, this is one of the few guns that has a reload trait, so you got to be careful with this gun. You fire it once, you can't shoot it on the next turn or in the current turn. So they have changed the wording of reload since I last looked at these models, such that once he fires, he needs to spend an entire turn reloading. So he doesn't even get to shoot it again on the same turn if you use mobster. So that's a bit sad. It kind of reduces a little bit of utility there, but that's okay. Here we go. We've got the sledgehammer here. This sledgehammer is a double blood, a stun weapon. It's not double anything, but the model that comes with this does have the ability to knock people down whenever he hits, which is really, really good. I'm a really big fan of that. Knockdown is really bad sometimes. Just getting that impaired movement really sucks. And you also have to make a movement action. So if you haven't given the model an audacity, then you're going to feel really bad about having to just simply move to stand up. And then we have this. You might not be able to make out what this is, but this is basically like chains. Chains have been wrapped around this guy's arms and hands. It looks kind of creepy, I think, when you're looking at it really up close like this. So it's a bunch of chains, and he can basically spin the chains around his head. I'm a really big fan of that. Then we have these sort of tiger claws here as well. So you can see, now models have done a really good job of making the models a little bit different. They're not all just armed with maybe pistols and brass knuckles. They've all got their own little things going on. They all have extra special rules. So I did go over every single one of these models previously in the first impressions video. Basically, my impressions are still the same. They look really good. I'm a really big fan of these. And having played a bit of organized crime now, I will say that they work really, really well. So organized crime does want to get a lot of killing done, and these guys should hopefully help with that. And those who can't, they're going to be great for running around grabbing suspect markers, because there's basically a lot more of these guys have movement 10. Now, not all of them do. Quite a lot of them have movement 8, if I recall correctly. But having movement 10 is so important in this game, especially for organized crime who do need to get out there and grab suspect markers. Finally, I just want to highlight Zaz again. So obviously, he is an affiliation unknown model, so he's not organized crime affiliated. So even if you're not interested in any of these characters, any of these sort of mobsters, you can definitely buy this box for Zaz. Now, this box set overall costs about £66, so you're paying quite a lot. You're paying quite a premium if all you want is Zaz. But Zaz is absolutely great. He's a real henchman killer, so he gets bonuses for fighting henchmen, and he also can like teleport down on the map once an enemy model has placed on a suspect marker, I believe it is. So he's really, really cool, and he is basically a murder machine. He gets stronger the more he kills. He's a really good model. Now, someone like Batman, someone who's got quite a lot of rep and who isn't a henchman, will be able to knock the snot out of Zaz, just as it should be. But Zaz will really prey on your opponent's henchmen and really take care of those pieces, which is really good, because henchmen are really strong in this edition. Like, they're absolutely absurdly strong. Like, I do genuinely think that Bullock is probably the strongest model in the Bat crew, maybe second only to Larita, but he's absolutely absurd, and Zaz is gonna stab him. He's gonna stab him quite a lot. So I'm looking forward to getting those models all put together. And next up, we have this. So this is like a little expansion pack that you can buy for that. This came, I think it was around 20 pounds or so. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll have some text in the video there just to show you how much it was. And you get 2 models. So you get the Fixer and you get this sort of generic organized crime thug. And they are in this little box, so you can buy these guys separately. And I'm quite excited about these guys. So the Fixer is very interesting. We'll have a look at her first, I believe, because she's probably, you know, the other guy's kind of like another guy in a suit. But here we go. We've got the Fixer here, and you can see she's got a real vibe. She's got a real vibe about her. So she's wearing this kind of like she's basically like a crime doctor, right? Paging the crime doctor. Anyone remember that episode from the animated series? So she's basically a crime doctor. You can see she's got a butcher's knife there, or a doctor's cleaver, maybe, and a massive syringe. Absolutely humongous syringe, huge syringe. Put you off getting an injection at the doctor's. And you can see her. So you can basically move suspect markers around. You can heal your, so this sounds weird, but basically you can heal your opponent's models in order to gather intel. So you basically kind of like interrogate them and things like that. She's got some really, really specialist rules. I think she's a real tech piece, but she's really good for that. I think this box set, this sort of pack, is really interesting because they've brought a model who maybe you don't want to bring all the time, but a model who you might want to bring some of the time, which I think is actually a really good deal because she adds something completely unique and completely special. And both of these models are on the 30mm base, just the standard base size. And then finally, we have the Black Mask. I think they're all called Black Mask Thug, but they can all be brought in organized crime. This is Black Mask Thug 7. So let's have a look at him here. He's almost one piece. He just has a gun here to put on. And I really love this pose. So this guy is kind of the height, I think, of what I will call sort of stationary dynamism. So he doesn't have his like feet up on a tactical rock or anything, but he just exudes character. So whenever he is put together, this arm with the assault rifle is going to be placed in there, and he's going to like have it aimed up in the ground, in the air, whereas he's got a hand going here for another gun, and I just think that looks really, really awesome. In terms of his mask, he's got a really interesting mask there. You can see it looks like almost like an iron mask of some kind. I might paint that as, and he's wearing just the waistcoat. This guy's gun is really good. I believe it has assault, but it does quite a lot of blood damage, and I'm really looking forward to having him out on the table and getting some murder in, because organized crime really do like the murder. They like to send a message. So that's what you get, I think, for the £20 or so. So you only get the 2 models, and they're both henchmen, so might be a little bit pricey for what they are, but they're really, really good models. I think for Black Mask Thug 7, you probably want to bring him all the time, but whereas the Fixer, probably more of a niche pick. But I don't know, I'm not too sure. I'll have to play with her first, because she does have some very specific rules going on, which is very interesting. Next up, I ordered with this as well. This might have been a little bit of a mistake. I ordered the Reaper as well. So the Reaper is a 2nd edition model, okay? And he's probably not going to be as competitive as some of the other models that we've looked at. He's kind of old, and I think he's sort of showing his age a little bit. But I wanted to pick him up because he does have the Psychic rank. Oh, and he has a unit card as well. Wow, this makes it so much easier to have a look at him. So here we go. This is Benjamin Gruner. He's the Reaper. He's got 70 reputation. He's got a sickle, which is a blood stun. So the blood stun is kind of where he's let down a little bit, I think. He's got reach and sharp. Sharp is okay. Maybe not so much now the Penguin is back in circulation. Everyone's playing him again. But sharp basically lets you re-roll your strength die. He comes with Assassin too, which is fine. Or well, it's just Assassin now in 3rd edition. So if you're surprised that you're confused by this card, this is a 2nd edition card. But almost everything is the same. So Assassin doesn't have a 2 anymore. It's just Assassin. It allows him to bring a card that was used as a resource back into his hand, I believe, if he gets a kill. It's pretty good. Combo is really nice. So combo is really, really good. He also hits people whenever they go away, whenever they try to run away from him, basically. If they leave base contact with him and they're not dead, he'll get a free hit on them. That's Coward's Reward, basically. So that's nice. I think stealth is pretty good too. 70 reputation is probably a bit pricey for someone dealing blood stun with attack 4. That's not too great. He's also 8 movement, so that's not great either. 6 willpower and 7 endurance is quite nice though. The willpower is maybe a little bit low, but the 7 endurance is really good, and attack 4, defense 4 is 4. Attack 4 and defense 4 is fine, I meant to say. So the reason why I picked him up was because I just wanted another sidekick, basically. I also kind of dug the style of the Reaper. For those who've watched previous videos of mine, they know that I'm a huge fan of the Phantasm. So the Reaper is kind of like a discount Phantasm as far as I'm concerned. I don't really know much of the Reaper, yeah, okay, so here we go. It's cast in the old resin. This is his head there. This cloak is going to be amazing to contrast paint, I think. A lot of sort of flaps and furls. Big fan of that. And here we go. There's an arm here as well. So this is the body of Reaper. And you can see, are they guns, or are they just sort of like stitching? Are they bullets meant to be, or like not dungarees, but like suspenders. Are they meant to be that? So he looks like he's going to be really easy to put together. Basically, you just pop them together like that. You glue him. Very nice. And then here are his 2 arms. So he's obviously armed with 2 sickles, and they both have combo. So not amazing, but you know, not awful, I don't think. Blood stun is probably the big thing that lets him down, but he'll probably be good against killing henchmen. I just think for 70 reputation, you probably want him to do a little bit more. And he might be prone to getting shot a little bit, which is pretty sad. So I probably should have mentioned it before, but in terms of the organized crime box set, the Pain and Money one, Kozov and Fright are both psychics. So that's really nice. So you can actually just have a full crew, 350 rep in here, and just go on without having to buy Black Mask. And you can just bring Kozov, I think, is probably the better leader, because she brings extra funding money if she isn't, if she's the leader of the crew. So I think she's probably the better one to choose. Okay, and then next up, we have Eraser, the man, the myth, the legend, Eraser, of course. So this is one of the Legends of the Dark Knight models. He's one of the silly models, basically. And you can see here, excellent comic cover. I am a big fan of it. This guy basically has an eraser for a head, essentially. Like, he wears this as a mask. Like, he's not sort of like DNA grafted on to having a rubber for a head, but he wears this as a mask, and basically he rubs out the evidence of crime. That's literally what he's up to. That's his thing. Now, you might think that's very silly, and if you do, you're right. It is incredibly silly and very ludicrous, but that's kind of the Legends of the Dark Knight thing. So there's lots of silly ones there, like Calendar Man and stuff like that. So here we go. This is the base. This is the base, and there's a lot of footprints here because this actually comes with a sort of rubbed out Batman and rubbed out Robin as well. So I'm not sure if in the comics he could actually rub people out, but he basically could rub evidence of crimes out. This is such a the criminological investigation by police, you know. And then this guy walks in with a massive rubber for a head and just says, "Nope, no, thanks. I don't think so, CSI team." And he just rubs out all of the crime. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The level of depth in old comic books is astounding, really. So the thing about this model is he's got the rubber for a head. He actually has a really nice pose. So I really like this pose, actually. As much as he's a sort of a silly model, I do think this model's kind of could be ripe for cutting this head off and putting a sort of a different head on it if you wanted to make sort of more of a down-to-earth maybe model, because I just really like the way he's standing. I think it's very intimidating, actually, and he's got, you can see his balled up fists here will get glued on. As always, quite a lot of bit of flash with this sort of 3rd edition resin here, but it's not too bad. As I said, a little bit of cleanup. But yeah, I really like this model. Now, the character himself, he's probably maybe a little bit too expensive for what he does, but he can rub out a trait on an enemy model, which is really, really interesting and is a really nice tech piece. If there's ever sort of an oppressive model that comes out there, this guy is nice to have sort of in your back pocket, just in case, which means he'll be able to be used, you know, maybe in competitive play to rub out really problematic traits that the opponent brings. Or maybe even, you know, you rub out something like acrobatic in order to prevent an enemy from dodging your gunfire, something like that. But yeah, he's really interesting. You know, he opens up a door of possibilities. And I really like that about these silly sort of Legends of the Dark Knight models, that they bring their own little bit of flavor, and he definitely brings a little bit of flavor, well, quite a lot of flavor actually, to any crew that he comes in. So we'll pop him to one side then. And then speaking of silly, here we go. We have, of course, the Joker from the Adam West movie. So here we are. It's, of course, him on, or not just the movie, but obviously the TV show as well. And you can see here, this is the back of the model. So let's have an open there. Let's open it up. See what we get. Wow, okay. So very premium. Got it in a little plastic baggie. Very nice. Pop this to one side. So this version of the Joker is on a 30mm base. So this is a leader model. Ooh, very solid. So the resin itself feels very, very solid, which is really nice, actually. This feels very nice and solid. A little bit of hair there or something, a little bit of resin, maybe a strain of resin. And yeah, okay, so let's have a look. This is, of course, Caesar Romero. Let's see here. So let's see, most important, very first thing, is there a mustache? Trying to see, and you know what? I think there might be the wisp of a mustache. The tiniest wisp of a mustache. Yep, well, in any case, it's getting sort of drawn on a little bit. Here we go, here is the body. There. So this is a very cheap version of the Joker. Very, very cheap version of the Joker. The cheapest version of the Joker, in fact, even cheaper than the Jared Leto, or not Jared Leto, the Heath Ledger version of the Joker, or even the Dark Knight Returns version of the Joker either. This guy's very, very cheap. Now, he doesn't bring much, but basically, he doesn't have really a lot of specials, you know, to his name. He does have a surfboard, though, which is very cool. And he also brings Trickster and Chaos Agent, and that's basically all you really want the Joker to do. That's all you really need the Joker to do, to bring Chaos Agent. So I think there's actually definitely a space for this version of the Joker in very henchman-heavy crews, or if you want to bring a really expensive henchman, you want to bring like a really, really strong like free agent or someone like that, you throw this Joker in, save yourself a little bit of reputation in the crew building exercise. So in terms of popping this in here, it looks like there's going to be, so there's going to be a little bit of cobblestone viewable whenever you put this in. So you might want to do a little bit of green stuff in there in between in order to sort of clean that up and make it look a little bit more presentable, look like he's actually, you know, on a surfboard. Now, obviously in terms of the posing, this is a very silly version of the Joker, and the posing itself is very specific to a very specific moment and a very specific scene. I understand that it's very iconic. It's going to look a little bit awkward though with kind of Joker on a surfboard flying down the streets of Gotham, right? Surfs up Big Kahuna on a big wave. That's going to be kind of weird. On the other hand though, I mean, it's the Adam West version of the Joker. What are you expecting, you know? Let them have fun with this one, I suppose. And I will plan on probably doing a Joker versus Adam West Batman at some stage with my derpy looking Adam West. I still need to put him together and get him painted. Yeah, so look forward to that on the channel at some stage. It's been a while since I played Joker, so maybe I'll crack out this version of the Joker soon. But yeah, so that's been all of the releases for June. Unboxed and unpackaged there, so you can check them out. You can see whether or not this is something that might interest you. I have links in the description below to all of the sort of models that you can get on the Night Model website, and they're all available up there. I think this was a really interesting month. A very, very interesting month. I'm particularly happy to get Zaz. I'm very happy to have Zaz finally in the game, because he's probably been like one of the biggest names that's missing between him maybe and Hugo Strange. So it's really nice to finally have him out and about, you know, shanking henchmen down alleyways. That's great. The Joker was a bit of a surprise this month, actually. I think I didn't expect the Joker to sort of be released. I suppose once Adam West came out, right, No Holds Barred, and now we've seen that there's a new Catwoman as well coming out next month. So very interesting. I hope you all enjoyed this unboxing. If you did, please do throw us a like in the on the video. It does help out the channel quite a lot in terms of the algorithm and things like that, and also lets us know what you sort of are enjoying in terms of video content. Aside from that though, if you do want to see more Batman Miniatures game content, including more faction overviews, which are coming, please do subscribe to the channel to be alerted whenever they come out. I'm really looking forward to doing the organized crime one. I need to play more organized crime in terms of before I do any sort of overview of them, but I think that, you know, spoilers, organized crime, you're probably going to see some of these models appear in the what to buy section in what to buy guide, because they really are good. They're very, very strong, but I'll need to sort of certify that that's the case after a few games, but I think on paper they look really, really good. So I hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope you do join me for my next video, which should hopefully be coming out very shortly, and I shall see you then. Bye-bye.